In this week's blog, we talked about the importance of embracing our mistakes because they're probably the greatest stepping stones to making us successful. Now, I've been practicing for 40 years. I don't know how many patients I've treated, probably close to 50,000. I've done tens of thousands of surgical procedures, and I've had the opportunity to have not everything go perfectly in my career. Now, I look back at my career, I'm still practicing, and things have gone pretty well. We have a pretty high success rate, but it's not 100% what we do. So what do I do when things go wrong? Well, first I embrace whatever it is that went wrong, and I analyze it. And I want to say, well, what happened? What occurred? What have I learned from it? What was my part in it? And what can I do so it will never happen again? Now, I can't guarantee that it'll never happen again because nothing is 100%. But with that attitude, I learn a lot. So my failures have been my greatest teacher. Now, most of us have treated many, many people, and we've done a lot of very successful things. But I don't think about all the things that went well. I don't wake up every day and go, oh, that implant worked great yesterday. That full mouth rehabilitation was great. The connective tissue graft went great. The extraction went great. They had no pain. What I do remember is the patients that didn't go well. Now, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here, and I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me my first year in practice. I opened up my office in 1984, graduated dental school in 79, did my residency in 83, and I had no patients. I bought a facility and I outfitted it and had 3 operatories, 1 employee, and no patients. And what I did do was I scheduled whatever patients that I had all on the same time, so it looked like I had a busy practice. And not the best idea. I don't recommend that. So I was moving quickly. And I also scheduled myself to go down to NYU, where I was teaching with Dennis Tarnow, at the end of my morning. So I'd finish the case and I'd run to get the train station, etc. So one day I was treating this patient, her name was Jean, and I was doing a distal buccal root amputation back in 1984. And I was thinking about getting to New York in the train, and I wasn't as focused as I should have been. And she moved. She was an older woman. She had some Parkinson's disease, and there was a little bit of movement. When she moved, as I was moving the distal buccal root, the burr, which was a round burr I was using, went into her cheek and cut the buccal mucosa. She did not know. She was numb. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm rushing. I got to be in New York. My first year in practice, I have very few patients, and now I'm cutting somebody's cheek. I felt like a jerk, but I knew then I should never ever rush. And so from that point forward, I always took my time. So she was numb, and I put in a couple of sutures into the cheek. It was in the buccal mucosa, which heals very rapidly because it's so vascular. Closed it with a couple of 5-0 gut sutures. And I said to her, I go, Jean, I'm sorry, I cut your lip, or actually your cheek, when I was removing the root. And I put 2 stitches in, it's going to heal nicely. So I immediately embraced the mistake. I immediately was honest with the patient. And she says, oh, no problem. She was a really nice lady. Next week I come back, I remove the sutures, or about 10 days later, and she had 2 gift wrap boxes of beautiful picture frames for me. I go, what are these for? She says, I've never had a doctor be so honest with me before. You're just in practice. I'm sure you're a little nervous treating me. I'm about 30 years older than you, but you were honest. And there was no harm done. I'm fine. I didn't have any pain, and it healed nicely. So she handed me those 2 picture frames, and I cherished those because I realized the importance of being honest, and I also realized the importance of not rushing. That was one of my early mistakes in career. I've made others before. Now, not every implant I place integrates. We have a relatively high success rate in the high 90th percentile, but sometimes they fail. And if they do fail, I look at it. Is the patient healthy? Was there an infection locally? Did I do the proper type of bone graft? Did I use the right implant? So I always say to patients, and I can't guarantee success, what I do guarantee is I will stay with that patient until they have a successful implant. Now, I've had implants fail maybe about 5% of the time, and most of the time I replace them and it goes fine. But what happens if you do an implant once and twice and it fails? Well, I have to find a different implant that may have a better success rate with integration. And we use an implant, a trabecular metal implant that has 4 times the surface area, and I find that that works almost all the time. I've had close to 100% success rate with those. So I always say to a patient, I say, I will never leave you. I will stay with you until we have a success. And I'm happy to say that I've always been able to get an implant to integrate, even if it's taken me 3 times. Now, how many implants have failed twice before I get the integration? Well, we've done about, 12,000 implants in our practice at this point in time, maybe 5 or 6, but I've always gotten the patient to the finish line. So something that I always say to patients is, don't worry, I won't leave you, I won't abandon you. Because oftentimes I've seen this in other practices, because we get a lot of second opinions, is that doctors will say, well, I think this is the best I can do, I can't do it. There's no way I can get you a successful result. I will never distance myself from a patient. If there's a problem with a patient, I want that patient to be treated in my office, and I want to be able to write the end of that story. Hopefully a successful story. So in our practice, and I don't charge the patients if I have to redo it. I said, I can't guarantee it, but what I will guarantee is I will continue to treat you until I can get a successful result in this area, providing you follow my instructions. So I look at the mistakes as being opportunities, because my practice is built not on my success, it's built on my failures. The patients that have a successful implant leave, they didn't even know that it couldn't fail. I mean, patients have no idea. When something fails, it's a big deal, especially an implant, especially if it's in the front, especially if it's to someone who's younger, that hasn't been through a lot of procedures, that doesn't have that bandwidth to handle stress. When that occurs, I immediately embrace it. I go, don't worry, I'm here for you. So it happened to me not too long ago. I had a patient, had 2 lateral incisors, really nice guy, Division I athlete, and I live in Connecticut, and he's about to move, to Seattle. Everything went well. And one of the abutments got loose that was on the provisional crown and moved a little bit. I don't know if that caused failure or not, but he had 2 beautiful lateral incisors. We did ridge augmentations, and they're in there. He was visualized. He was very happy. And one of the implants failed. And I said to him, it's failing. I have to take it out. He goes, can I leave it? I said, no, you can't leave it. I have to remove it. He goes, well, can I do it later? And I know he wanted to leave, get to his job in Seattle, and then not be treated. And I didn't think that was a really good idea, because there would be more bone loss around and it can affect adjacent teeth. So I immediately called his parents. He was about 22, and his parents, of course, older. And so I had a phone conversation with 3 of them. And there was a lot of anger. And they go, well, we paid for it. We paid a lot of money for it. Can I have my money back? Can I go elsewhere? And I said, you certainly can have your money back if you want to be treated elsewhere. And I know some really good people in Seattle. I said, but let's get the implant out. Let's do a graft. And what I did was I came in early. I coordinated with the other office, and we got him in with a bonded bridge so he can go out to Seattle for his job. I said, if you want to come back and see me at Christmas, I'll be happy to replace it then. Or if you want, because it'll probably be easier for you because you live 3,000 miles away now, you can be treated by my friend in Seattle. And I have a good friend there, Dr. Bobby Butler, who's excellent. I said, he's great. He's one of the best in the world, and I'll give you the money back so you can pay him for it. So in that situation, he has a choice. He can come to see me. I'm not going to make him see me. Or he can go to Seattle and have it done there. Well, I removed the implant and I regrafted it, and he moved out to Seattle. And he's coming back to see me for replacement in December. Now, I actually said to him, I said, no, you can have it done in Seattle because he already had 1 failure. So if you have a failure, the chances for your second failure are high. I'm thinking, do I want to get involved? I go, but I do. Because I want to take care of him, and he has a good relationship with me. So I want to be able to write the end of my own story. And that requires having the discipline, having the integrity, having the honesty, and most importantly, the courage to sit there and to sit down with my patient and say, hey, listen, we have a problem. I'm going to fix it. I'm here for you to fix it. I'm not sure why it occurred. And this guy, he's young, he's healthy, everything went perfectly. I don't know why it occurred. I said, but it doesn't really matter. I go, I will be here for you. And to have the patient have that kind of confidence in you and know that they have your phone number, they have my email, they have my cell number, they can call me at any time, and so do his parents. That really lowers the stress level. Now, I don't like it when things go badly, but I know the most important thing that I can do for my practice is to be there when they do. Because people don't remember when things go well, but they do remember when things go bad. And I don't want any of my patients to say bad things about me or my team or the people that I work with. But more importantly, I want them to have a good experience. So that's where I come from, because I know what it's like to be a patient. As many of you may know, I have 23 crowns, and I've lost 9 teeth, and I've broken my jaw twice on bike accidents, most recently about 3 years ago. These are all fake. you're looking at 23 crowns, with a 6-unit bridge from 6 to 11 in the front. So I know what it's like to be on the other side. I'm there for my patients because I know what it's like to be a patient. And there's no better feeling as a patient to know that your doctor is there for you, that your doctor is able to admit that he's human or she is human, that your doctor gives you his cell phone or her cell phone number. It's on my business card. Every patient of mine has it. But people, well, I don't want to be bothered. My phone does not blow up when I am working with patients at all. Very rarely do patients call me. Now, we do have those 1 or 2 patients that may have OCD or they may be bipolar or something like that, and they do need to be reached out there. Well, those are the people that need us the most. It doesn't take me much time to talk to a patient and make them comfortable. I'll tell you, those are the patients that sing your praises and give you the 5-star reviews and thank you, when they come in and bake cookies for you or whatever. Now, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect world at all, but that's where I come from. I come from a place like where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity not only to fix the problem and learn, but an opportunity to develop a really strong relationship with my patient, with your patient. So that's just my take on, problems as opportunities. I don't like them, but there's no better way to build your practice than to embrace the problem. So have a great day, everybody, and remember, be the gift.